The first president of the United States was George Washington. His presidency lasted from 1789 to 1797. He was a hero of the American Revolution and is also called the father of the nation. I will first give you some basic information about him. Then I will design a documentary-style story for you. Important facts about George Washington. Born February 22, 1732. In Virginia. Occupation: landowner. Soldier, politician. American Revolution. He led the American Army in the War of Independence against Britain 1775 to 1783 and led it to victory. First president. The first president after the U.S. Constitution was elected in 1789. Important achievements. Strengthened the foundations of the new government and the Constitution. Did not belong to any political party in order to maintain unity. Served as president twice, but declined to run for a third term in order to limit his term. Died December 14, 1799. Story for a documentary script idea. You can make this with voiceover plus images, videos, intro, soft music, old maps of America and battle scenes, voiceover. This is the story of a man who made the dream of freedom a reality and left his name forever in history. This is George Washington, the first president of the United States. Childhood and beginnings. A picture of Virginia farms, old houses, and a child. Voiceover. On February 22, 1732, a child was born in Virginia who grew up to be called the father of a nation. Military life and the War of Independence. War maps, photographs of cannons, horses, and military uniforms. Voiceover. Washington joined the army when the colonists declared independence from Britain. He became their commander-in-chief. Despite difficult conditions, hunger, cold, and limited resources, he encouraged his army and won the war for independence. Presidentship. American flag. First Constitution paintings of Washington's presidency. Voiceover. In 1789, he was elected the first president of the United States. He laid the foundation for unity, the Constitution, and democracy. His principles are still part of American politics today and memorial to his death. And Washington, D.C. today. Voiceover. Washington did not covet power. After serving 2 terms as president, he returned to his homeland. He passed away in 1799, but his name will live forever in history. Voiceover. George Washington was born on February 22, 1732, into a Virginia farming family. From a young age, he was hardworking, honest, and brave. He worked the land, learned to draw maps, and then joined the army. Visuals. Old farmhouse, field footage, old-style animation or painting of a child reading and writing. Close-up of a handwriting with an old book or pen. Military life and the Revolutionary War. Voiceover. When the American colonists fought for independence against Britain, George Washington was elected general. Despite a weak army, severe cold, hunger, and disease, he encouraged his soldiers. Ultimately, America won its independence. Visuals. Military camp. Soldiers sitting in the Snow Valley Forge scenes. Cannons, horses, soldiers marching. Old maps or animations of the war. The signature scene of the Declaration of Independence. The journey to becoming president. Voiceover. In 1789, George Washington was elected the first president of the United States. He founded the new government, put the Constitution into practice, and made the Union his strength. He played the role of a neutral leader, not joining any political party. Visuals. Paintings of Washington's presidency. The first Congress building Federal Hall. New York. The American flag waving. Footage or photos of a copy of the Constitution. Resignation and legacy. Voiceover. After serving 2 terms as president, he declined a 3rd term. He wanted America to set an example of democracy. He left the world in 1799. His name still lives on in Washington, D.C. and on every page of American history. Visuals, Washington at his farmhouse, Mount Vernon. His death memorial, Washington, D.C. Scenes, White House. Capitol, Washington Monument. Closing, voiceover. George Washington not only gave freedom to a country, but also paved the way for a new democracy. His role will always be an example for world leaders. A dream was born centuries ago, of a country that is free, sovereign, and governed by the people. This is the story of the man who made this dream a reality. The man the world calls the father of America. This is George Washington, the first president of the United States. Visual, old American flag. Scenes from the War of Independence, Statue of Washington. George Washington was born on February 22, 1732, in a farm town in Virginia. His family was not very rich but a respectable farmer. From an early age, George was educated in honesty and hard work. He worked the lands, rode horses, and learned to map. As a young man, he surveyed the borders of Virginia, which gave him a deep understanding of the land, the forest, and the trails, which later became very useful in his military life. Visual, fields, old maps, riding young horses. In the 1750s, a great war broke out between Britain and France, known in history as the French and Indian War. George Washington joined the British Army. They fought bravely but soon realized that British commanders underestimated American soldiers. This was the moment when Washington thought that one day America needed its freedom. When the American colonists rebelled against Britain a few years later, all eyes were on George Washington. His leadership, integrity, and courage made him militaristic. Visual, battle maps. British soldiers, cannons. Soldiers sitting in the snow. The War of Independence was not easy. Washington's soldiers were hungry and craving cold. In the bitter cold of 1777, when the army was at Valley Forge, many soldiers fled, but Washington emboldened and the rest of the army. He said, "Freedom demands sacrifice." The war lasted for 8 years, defeated several times, but not discouraged. Finally, Washington and his allies defeated British General Cornwall at the Battle of Yorktown in 1781, and thus the dream of freedom became a reality. In 1783, Britain recognized the independence of the United States. Visual, ice battle camp, Washington soldiers cheer. Battle victory scene, nut. After independence, there was a big question: who would lead the country? The people and the leader all had one name on their tongue: George Washington. In 1789, he was unanimously elected the first president of the United States. As president, he laid the foundations of the new government, implemented the Constitution, established the Capitol, and strengthened political unity. The biggest thing is that Washington refused to join any political party because he knew that parties could divide the nation. So he said, "The nation comes first." Visual, painting of the first Congress. American flag, Washington presidency. He became president twice. People wanted him to be president for a third time, but he refused. They wanted America to be a model of democracy, where power is not forever held by one person. In 1797, he left politics and returned to his farmhouse, Mount Vernon, where he spent his last years in peace. George Washington passed away on December 14, 1799, but his name lives on to this day. His memory lives on in the Capitol, Washington, D.C., the famous Washington Monument, and in the hearts of Americans. Visual, Mount Vernon's farmhouse. Monuments, Washington, D.C. scenes. George Washington not only gave freedom to one country, he showed the world what an honest leader is. He was a soldier, a president, and a true leader. His message today is, leadership does not mean power, it means service. George Washington was the first president of the United States. Visual, U.S. flag waved. Washington Monument fading at night. It was a moment filled with joy, excitement, and a little panic. This moment gives us the first lesson in the importance of confidence. courage, and expression. He said, "Son, this time you will perform on the stage in function." In the beginning, the heartbeat was quick and nervous, but there was also a passion inside to show my best in front of everyone. On the day of the function, standing on the stage, I took my first deep breath, and then he stepped up and continued his role or speech. The teacher, parents, and friends were all there. As soon as my performances began, my heart's fear faded and my confidence began to grow. The applause, the smiles of friends, and the praise of the teacher brought joy and peace to the heart. This moment was the first lesson in understanding that hard work, preparation, and confidence are necessary before going on any stage. I returned home and told my mother how it was. The mother said, "Son, this is the real lesson. Anything is possible with self-confidence and hard work." Going on stage for the first time at a school function was not only a memorable moment, but it was also the first lesson of courage, self-confidence, and hard work in life. This moment gives us the first lesson of the importance of hard work, perseverance, and trust. When he was in the middle of the night, there was both hope and a little panic in my heart. On the day of the results, when the teacher announced the best number with my name, the heart swayed with joy. The joy of the friends, the smile of the teacher, and the self-confidence gave the heart comfort and pride. This moment was the first lesson to understand that hard work, dedication, and perseverance can bring every success to man. When she returned home, she told her mother that she had the best results. The mother said, "Son, this is your labor and the mercy of the Lord. Remember that labor is never wasted." Getting the best mark on the first exam was not only an academic achievement, but it was also the first great lesson of hard work, dedication, and confidence in life. What's the best work? Then the eyes were filled with joy and light. On the day of the event, we all prepared with full dedication. Every friend did his job, and we all did the best together. When the event was completed and our name was taken as a success, the heart was filled with joy. This moment was the first lesson to understand that any goal can be achieved through hard work and collaboration. Returning home, I told my mother how the annual event was a success. The mother smiled and said, "Son, remember when the teacher said, 'Son, this time you have to participate in teamwork in the science fair.'" I was a little excited and a little nervous, wondering if our project was going to be done right. We did our research together with our friends. Everyone did their job. Someone built the model, someone collected the information, and someone prepared the presentation. He enjoyed the whole process and learned everything on Science Fair Day. When we presented our project, the teacher and guest were very happy. The answer to their questions was confident. This moment was the first lesson in understanding that everything is possible with hard work and teamwork. When I returned home, I told my mother how it was. The mother said, "Son, this experience is the foundation for learning and success for you. Always remember when the teacher announced, 'There will be a little competition in class today.' There was a little nervousness in the heart at first, but there was also enthusiasm inside. During the competition, we participated with full effort and strategy. Friends supported and solved every question, every challenge together. It was the first time I realized that teamwork makes every difficulty easier. When my name came to pass, my heart was filled with joy. The praise of the teacher and the joy of the friends gave the heart comfort and pride. When she returned home, she told her mother that she had won the class. The mother said, "Son, that's the real lesson. Hard work, teamwork, and enthusiasm are the way to success in life." He said, "Son, you have to attend this annual event and you will be recognized for your hard work." He was a little nervous on the day of the ceremony. Standing on the stage, I saw my friends, teachers, and parents. Every successful child was being given a prize. And when my name was taken, my heart leapt with joy. This moment was full of pride and confidence, and was the first lesson to understand that hard work is never wasted. I returned home and told my mother how it was. The mother said, "Son, this moment is the reward for your hard work, honesty, and dedication. Always remember that hard work and courage make everything possible in life." Attending the school's annual awards ceremony for the first time was not only a memorable moment, but it was also the first lesson in hard work, confidence, and success in life. I remember when the teacher came into the classroom and said, "Son, your hard work and dedication are commendable. I am so pleased with you." When he heard this, his heart shook with joy and his eyes lit up. In that moment, I realized that the teacher's words were not just compliments, but powerful lessons to encourage. These words are so deep in my heart that I feel that hard work and dedication never go away. When she returned home, she told her mother that the teacher had said a special word. The mother smiled and said,